What's up, everyone? We're going to work on our last minute preparation for the SAT, working on algebra, which is a heavily tested component of the SAT. If you're taking the SAT in the next couple of days, maybe you're taking it tomorrow. This would be great review for you to go over with very little stress. Remember, set your expectations if you're taking a test at the last minute. You're not going to hit the home run like you want, but at least we're going to tag that ball a few times. And after you walk out of the test, then you know exactly what you need to do to go forward and beating down the test the next time around. You're always going to have access to. Remember, you can contact me at 786-877-7231 in case you wanted access to the documents or how to get access to them. Everybody's got access to documents, so very easy to go find it. All right, let's work on some questions and burn this sucker down. Let me start off with blue. First question, we know it's question number one. It's got to be easy. How do we solve this? We just subtract 12 from both sides. And we should get our answer 6 minus 2. That looks like it's going to be 4. My only answer with 4 as its units digit is going to be this guy. I'm in and out of the question. Next question, number 10. This one is similar to what we had done in the previous page. I don't know if you guys remember this. See how I see this 4x plus 2 equals 12? Oh, no, I think it's exactly the same. So what would happen if I took that 4x plus 2 equals 12 right here? Remember, we could take a look at our ratios. Yeah, it's a 1 to 4 ratio. That's a 1 to 4 ratio. So therefore, the answer must be a 1 to 4 ratio. Yeah, we covered that in the last section. All right, this guy looks a little scary, but you know your business. What if we were to get rid of, well, actually, you know what we're going to do? We're just going to distribute all the way across, I guess. You could distribute. And if you did distribute, you'd get, should we distribute this? I'm trying to think. No, you know what? Better. You know what? I'm going to show distribution afterwards. But let's work this piece by piece. Notice I got this part of the equation here. 9 times the sum of 4 minus 3x plus 2 equals 8 times the sum of 4 minus 3x. Now, how would I get rid of, plus 18. Now, how would I get rid of, let's say I wanted to move everything to the other side. I'm going to take all this and move it to the other side. How would I get it over there? I would subtract 8 times the sum of 4 minus 3x from both sides. That would cancel out. And then over here, actually, you know what? Let me just rewrite this. I apologize. I wish I was smoother with showing this stuff, but I'm not. Here's where, this is why I don't like the test being on a computer, because you can't actually do this on a, like in the ACT you could because you take it as a paper-based test, but in the SAT you get scratch papers. You're gonna have to write information again. So let me write all this business out. So 9 times 4 minus 3x plus 2 is equal to, I'll do the side in red, 8 times 4 minus 3x plus 18. Now, what I said before, I'm taking this guy out of here. I want to subtract this away from this side. If I subtract it from that side, I got to subtract it from the other side. Right? All right, so what is 9 minus 8 equal to? It's going to equal 1 times 4 minus 3x, but we're going to still keep our plus 2. And that's going to equal what? That would cancel out. We have our plus 18. All right, what's our next step? Well, what will we do with that positive 2? I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides. So now that's going to be 16. This would cancel out. And what do I have left over? 4 minus 3x is equal to 16. And that's what they're asking for. And ding dong, that's our answer. What's another way of getting this? Well, you could solve for x, right? You could solve for x and then plug the x back into the equation to get your answer 16. How would you do that? Some students would immediately distribute all this stuff and then solve for x and then go back in here and plug in your x and you get your answer to be 16. Or you could do what we had just done and that's subtract 8 times 4 minus 3x from both sides. Pretty slick. All right, next one. The function f is defined by the equation f of x equals 7x plus 2. What is the value of f of x when x equals 4? Oh, remember, f of x always equals y. So they're asking, what is the value of y when x equals 4? So if we were to take 4 and stick it in there, that'd be 7 times 4 plus 2, which would equal 28 plus 2, which equals 30, and that would be your solution. When x equals 4, comma, y equals 30, and that would be a point on a xy coordinate plane. Your answer is 30. Then question number 12, in the linear equation, h, or function h of 0 equals 41. Let me do a quick little t-grid. X and Y. 0 is X, then Y would be 41. If X is 1, then Y would be 40. So it's like it's decreasing in value, right? Yes, notice you gotta, it's increasing here, but it's going down in value here. So it looks like we're gonna have, a negative 41 over X. And it can't be, our answer cannot be D. That would not work. And our answer cannot be B. That would not work. So which one is going to be the best answer? Let's say it's between A and C. Well, you could just plug in a number, right? What if we took in 1 and I plugged in 1 for X? A negative 1 plus 41, does that equal a 40? Yes, it does. But let's try it in here. What is a negative 41 times 1 going to equal? That would equal negative 41. So therefore, A would have to be our answer. Chili chill. What's another thing that I noticed about this with answer choice A? A, B, C, and D, their slope intercept formulas. Answer choice A showed us a y-intercept of 41. And what is the y-intercept? The y-intercept is when x equals 0. Here's where x equals 0 and your y equals 41. So that's your y-intercept. And that's what your y equals mx plus b is, your y-intercept. So therefore, ding dong, that's your answer, A. All right, next question, number 14. The function f is defined by f of x equals 4x. What does the value of, no, what, for what value of x does f of x equal 8? Oh, so what does that mean? Students get locked up sometimes, but literally they're telling you, hey, you got your function 4x, but we're going to tell you that our answer is going to equal 8. So therefore, what must x equal? X equals 8 divided by 4, which is equal to 2, and you're in and out of the question. Pretty slick question. Notice it's a question number 14. It's not question number 4, it's 14, which means a lot of students answer this question incorrectly. More than likely, you know what the student did because there are no answer choices? I'm going to do this in red. This is what the average student did. They took that 8 and they stuck it into x there, and they did 4 times 8 equals 32, and that's what they went with. But that is not what the question is telling you. They said that f of x equals 8, which means that y equals 8. Again, f of x right here equals 8, which means that y, your answer should be equal to 8. There we go. And then you have your formula where you plug in your x equals, your x will equal 2 when you divide both sides by 4. And that's pretty much it. Question number 19. The function h is defined by h of x equals 4x plus 28. The graph of y equals h of x, and the xy plane has an x-intercept of a and 0 and a y-intercept of 0 and b. Woo, a lot of information. But first of all, the tells we got coordinate points. We got a and 0, and we got 0 and b, where a and b are numbers. Remember the word constants, always call them numbers so it doesn't freak you out. But the question is asking, what is the value of a plus b? Oh, goodness gracious, what do we do? All right, let's go with the first one. The first coordinate that they gave us is a and 0. So what does the a mean? That's your x value, and 0 is the answer to 4x plus 28. Let's do it here. 4x plus 28 is set to equal 0. That's what they gave us right here. Our answer is going to be y equals 0. So let's solve. 4x equals a negative 28, and x equals a negative 28 over 4, which is equal to a negative 7. All right, not bad. So far, so good. Is that it? Nope, we got another step to do. Remember, we've got this guy right here. Now here they're telling us when x equals 0, what will we get for our answer for b? So 4x plus 28 equals, what is it going to equal when x equals 0? So now we're going to plug in 0 in there. 4 times 0 is 0. 0 plus 28 equals 28. So our b is going to be equal to 28. b equals 28, or an a equals negative 7. So they're asking, what is a plus b? Our a value is a negative 7, plus our b value is a 28. And what is the answer to this question? 21. Bang, ding, dong, that which is dead. Now notice your answer choices. They're going to jump all over you when you solved for x and you got, I'm sorry, when you solved for y or your b value, you got 28. This is bait right here. They gave you bait for you to bite on for an answer choice. Let's go back to the top right-hand corner of the page. We got this guy. Oh, this is English to math mechanics. They're just testing your mechanicals. Call them mechanicals. I like having fun calling them different names. The equation gives the speed in miles per hour of a certain car t seconds after it began to accelerate. So just explaining what the formula is above. What is the speed in miles per hour of the car 5 seconds after? 5 seconds. This is a dirt. Where's the dirtiness of this question? Even though it's a question number 4, which means it's an easy question. What are they doing? They're asking at 5 seconds, what would be the speed of miles per hour? Most students are going to do what? They're going to plug that 5 into S, but that's not what the speed is. What did they tell us in the question? Speed, for seconds, T is the seconds, S is for speed. So we're taking the 5 and we're going to plug it in here instead. So what is 40 plus 3 times 5? That's going to be 40 plus 15, which is equal to 55. And that's the answer to your question. Very slick. They're trying to get you to bite on the word seconds and trying to make you use it there where S is not seconds. S is actually speed, not the seconds. We have to plug it into T, which is represented by the seconds. This test, once you practice, you're going to realize that you're good with your math abilities, your basic fundamentals. It's just a matter of recognizing and reacting to the questions that come across you during the test. All right, let's do this 10. A manager is responsible for ordering supplies for a shaved ice shop. The shop's inventory starts at 4,500 paper cups. Let me just write the 4,500. It starts off with 4,500. That's a keyword, starting off, which is here. I'll give you a clue. Y equals mx plus b. What is your y-intercept? That's when x equals 0. That's the beginning, the start, the initial beginning time. So I'm going to put my 4,500 there. Now, the manager estimates that 70 of these cups are used each day. Oh, that's going to be my slope. Now, that slope, how does it work though? If you're using 70 each day, are you gaining 70 each day or are you losing 70 each day? You're losing 70 each day. It's going to be a negative 70. See if this pencil will work. Whoop, a negative 70x. And that is the formula to this question. Now, based on this estimate, how many days will the supply of paper cups reach? 1,700. So now I'm going to put it equal to 1,700. So I want to know how many X days is it going to take for me to get to 1,700. All right, let me turn on my telephone from my calculator. And then we'll do some basic math. Now, if you're going to use Desmos, use it carefully. Or if you're going to use a calculator, remember, during the test, you can bring up to 2 calculators to the exam. And it's quite funny. I say, well, you more than likely won't need the 2 calculators for the test because, chances are your battery's not going to die. But mine just died giving you this presentation. All right, let's do our business. We're going to take our 1,700 and we're going to subtract 4,500 from both sides. And that, whoops, 1,700 minus 4,500 equals 2,800. So again, we're going to subtract the 4,500 from both sides. That's going to cancel, and this will leave me with 2,800. And then you're going to see, oh, it's a negative 2,800. Now you're going to see that you have a negative 70x left over, equaling negative 2,800. And all we do is divide both sides by 70, negative 70. Negative divided by negative is going to be a positive. So x is going to equal, dun, dun, dun. You got it, 40. And that is the answer to this question. Now, up to this point, how do you feel about this page? Yes, you certainly have easy questions that you certainly have to own. But remember, you're trying to be very careful because you don't want to make any stupid errors or careless mistakes. Let's go to the next question. We got this guy, and it's asking us to solve for x. So I kind of group these questions according to styles of questions that they're like giving us during the exam. All right, we see the formula. 2.5b plus 5r. They're not using x and y, they're using b and r. I don't know which one represents x or y. Let's go into the question and check it out. The given equation describes the relationship between the number of birds b. Oh, so we got birds for b and the number of reptiles for r that can be cared at a pet care business on a given day. If the business cares for 16 reptilians, so that means I'm pretty much substituting my r for 16 reptiles. My R is going to equal 16. On a given day, how many birds can it care for on this day? All right, here we go. Rewrite the equation. 2.5b plus what's 5 times 16? That's going to be AT equals AT. Then how do we solve for the number of birds? Well, we subtract 80 from both sides. That's going to cancel out b 0. What do we have left over? 2.5b equals 0. Ooh, b equals 0 divided by 2.5. So therefore, our answer is going to have to be 0. Question 20. Again, we're dealing with a question that has no answer choices. And it's a question number 20. So we can anticipate it's going to be a little slick. let's go into it and figure it out. An event planner is planning a party. It costs the event planner a one-time fee, slope intercept formula, a one-time fee of $35. So I'm going to write that down. One-time fee, that is your y equals mx plus b, your b, to rent the venue, and 1025 per attendee. 1025 per attendee. I'm going to use A for attendee. You could use X if you want, but if they give you a word, use the first letter of the word. Now, the event planner has a budget of $200. So if you can only spend $200 or no more than $200, that'd be less than equal to 200. What is the greatest number of attendees possible without exceeding the budget? All right, this is pretty basic. So let's go ahead and solve. We're going to subtract 35 from both sides. $35, 1025. Oh, $200. We're going to subtract 35 from both sides. That's going to leave us with, let me just do that longhand. That'd be 5, 9, 6, 165 greater than equal to 10.25a. Then what do we do to solve this sucker? We're going to divide both sides by 1025. But be careful, though. Remember, we have no answer choices here. Why can't I get this thing to stick? We have no answer choices, so be very careful. Divide both sides by 1025. Let me punch it into my trusty calculator. 165 divided by 10.25 equals 16. So A is going to be less than equal to 16.09756. Now, the average student is going to be like, what do I do with this? I'm not too sure. Remember, it's asking, what is the greatest number of attendees? Can I have 0.09756 of a person attend? No. So therefore, it's going to have to, your answer is going to be, attendees would be less than equal to 16.09. So your answer is going to be just 16 without the decimal 0.09756. And that's it for that sucker. Now the next one, I call this a limerick because this stumps a lot of students quite often. So I'm going to explain to you carefully. In August, a car dealer completed 15 more than 3 times the number of sales the car dealer completed in September. Again, in August, what did they do? They completed 15 more than 3 times the number of sales the car dealer completed in September. Keep on reading. In August and September, the car dealer completed 363 sales. How many sales did the car dealer complete in September? Oh, let's write this out. So in August, I'm going to use labels. August, I'll use red for September. They're just labels. This isn't, we're not dividing, we're not using fractions, just labels. The car dealer completed 15 more. What does 15 more mean? Plus 15. More than 3 times the number of sales that was done in September. How much did they do in September? I don't know, but we certainly know in August it was 3 times the number of sales in September. Now, what were the total sales? The total sales came out to be 363. Now, how many sales did the car dealer complete in September? All right, so this means for the 2 months combined, we got a total, which means that we're going to have to add everything all the way across. So let's do like terms. What is 3s plus s equal to? That is 4s plus 15 equals 363. All right, let's do our business. Let's subtract 15 from both sides. That's going to be 8. 5 minus s by 3. 48 is equal to 4s. And how do we solve for s? We just divide both sides by 4. And that will equal 4 goes into 34 how many times? 8. Carry the 2. 4 goes into 20 how many times? 7. So S equals 87. And that's your answer for this question. All right. I don't know how you guys felt for each of these questions. I'm sure a good number of these questions you're able to do, and maybe a few of them stumped you. The ones that stumped you, let's say the last one stumped you, we'll circle the entire question. Let's say you see it one more time tomorrow, do it one more time day after tomorrow, you're going to own this type of question. That's your business when you're getting ready for the test at the last minute. You want to get a good sampling of the different types of algebra questions, advanced math, data analysis, and geometry questions before you actually take the test. Now, you're going to cram all this information in your head? No, you're looking for the question that you know you can certainly handle and the ones that give you the heebie-jeebies. Well, if you see the heebie-jeebie question like something like this and you don't like it, just provide an answer, move, and you can always come back to the question and try it out. All right, guys, if you have any questions, you know where to contact me. My number is 786-877 7231. If you like the video, just subscribe, I guess. When you subscribe, it'll alert you when I put a new video. Peace out, everybody. Take care.